Welcome. Lovely to have you along, Mitch. Really, really cool. So, welcome to the Codename Amen podcast, mate. Our first
Thank you.
special guest.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. This is a very big honor right here.
Oh, my pleasure, mate. My pleasure. It's great to have you over on the podcast, coming straight direct from New York.
Yes, indeed. Coming straight from New York, originally from Brownsville, Brooklyn. Right now, I'm talking to you from a historical area, Queensbridge projects,
Oh,
right
wow.
across the birthplace of Nas and
Yeah.
Mobb Deep. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I'm a massive hip hop fan myself, Mitch. Massive, massive hip hop fan. Um, very much from mid 80s to mid 90s. So I
yeah.
follow that hugely. So the Queensbridge area is massive for me and my knowledge of old school hip hop. By the
Yeah.
sounds of things, you was a hip hop fan yourself, mate.
Yes, yes, very much so, very much so. I embellish in hip hop from like damn near almost close to like since a little kid. Like that's my essence of sound, like hip hop, reggae, R&B, soul, all of that, all
Amazing.
combined.
Yeah, so very, very much the same myself, mate. So that brings me into that first part of what your kind of your history and your influences are. Now, obviously, we've all, myself, John, and that we've listened to the Marcus Visionary podcast. So big up, Marcus. Great podcast, mate, and
Larger Marcus,
lovely to
yes.
hear that history of yourself and everything. But listening to you saying there about how important it was for you in growing up with that as your influences, artists and stuff yourself. You said Nas, Mob Deep.
Other artists as well. Not only just hip hop, but also in reggae as well. Like people like Dennis Brown, people like Barry Brown. On top of that, but here for me, what it wasn't really much like the singers and everything. Yeah, I love the lyrics. I love what they were saying, but it really was the sonics that I was following. It's
Sounds
like who was the people behind this music? Who the hell is this making it sound like this and all of that? And then I became fans of them, like fans of DJ Premier, Pete Rock, Molly Mall,
yeah, the
those
original
guys.
crate diggers. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
I think Premier and Pete Rock just have to be two of the finest producers out there for the stuff,
yeah,
and very much in the sense of the way they made music. So about that sample collection and making stuff from those old breaks, those samples and that. And that was one part I was going to come to. That's something for me personally I hear very much in your music.
yes, yes, a
Um,
lot, a lot. I come from the day I come from building up stuff on like an MPC 2000 and MPC 2000 XL and stuff like that. And whereas you're just limited to what you're using,
yeah,
or a limited time set of what you're using on the equipment that what you're using, so you just have to make it happen as the best as you can and put it together to make it sound like, oh, this is coming off a big studio. Like,
yeah.
nah, it's just one machine. Just the one machine.
Yeah, very much so, mate. I'm going from using an MPC myself way back, and a 4 track and that when we used to make stuff in the original days doing mixtapes and that.
Right.
That whole system of having to get the cut right and go back and get the bit and that, there's something organic, Mitch, about that, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it
Yes,
creates
indeed.
even though sometimes everything's not directly in time, that's what creates the rhythm.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
That was one of the whole bases of the series that I put on my Bandcamp, The Imperfectionist,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I wanted to show people that like in jungle drum and bass, everything is, if you notice, like a long time ago, Goldie had put out an interview talking about hiding the math. He
yeah.
was talking about like hiding the point of, all right, the people know when the break is going to drop, people know where certain parts is going to drop, but then if you make it so good that they don't even pay attention to that and just look for those different parts or whatnot, and that's where the imperfectionist comes in, because it's like you don't know when I'm gonna switch a break, you don't know when I'm gonna drop another sample, you don't know where this thing is gonna go, you just know that it's running,
Yeah, and
and
that's
that's
what
it.
keeps it interesting, mate, isn't it? Without doubt. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing. I was just interested in just making sure that it was that everything was either in time or something like that, but not, you know, not like, thank you. Not like not somewhere I lose you, so to speak. Like, you know how people will listen to Profane's music and they'll get lost because the drums are not on time. The whole element of the song isn't on time, but it is on time if you really follow it.
If you're following the vibe, you're following
Right.
how it works. Yeah.
You following how it works. Yeah. You'll recognize the math once you get into the groove, but he's losing you with the math because everything is out of place.
Yeah. Yeah. Really so, mate. Yeah. I remember Johnny L used to do that quite a lot. Paradox is another one.
Right.
Yeah. And that kind of links me to where I was going next, in the sense of the link of what we call the drum funk sound.
Yes, indeed. The drum funk, for me, the drum funk sound, how I came into that, I have to definitely credit Sequence for that, my brother Sequence. He when he moved to New York, when he moved to Brooklyn from New Orleans, he had a grand record collection, and where he introduced me into everything Paradox, everything Equinox, everything within like Moving Shadow, and like different, like he has a extensive Reinforced collection, and that's where I really started digging into like who made what, and where like a lot of the sound, like like the whole evolution of the sound comes from. Sort of.
Yeah, very much. Because I know Goldie speaks, and always credits his university to be Reinforced.
Right. Him Stretch. Him Stretch, even down to Paradox and Nucleus, as a matter of fact. A lot of people don't really realize that, Yeah.
No, I agree, mate. Yeah, definitely. Mark and Digo and that, and their whole massive influence on the scene in general was huge, and the Reinforced family is massive. That whole link to where it all spanned from is just great. And to hear that yourself now, mate, picking that vibe and feeling that vibe off it as well, it's amazing. It's great to hear. So despite the fact it's there in New York, it's the same thing, the same way that hip hop touched us over in the UK. For you guys, it was that same vibe touching you over there. So that's incredible. I love that.
yes, indeed. Yes.
So what's I know you mentioned the MPC there, mate. You're making stuff with that. What else are you using for your programming and making beats? And
okay, for now, like I don't have the MPC no more, but what I use now in general, and I use them like in different times. Like first and foremost, I use Ableton Live Suite. That's off the top. That's just like the end game to everything right there. But along with it, I use a Kai S3000 and a Kai S1000, along with a Novation base station. And like the soundboard I have is a Soundcraft K2. It's like, I think it's one of those last boards that Soundcraft had made before their company had joined up with Focusrite.
That's right. Yeah.
Because that merger, that company came like right shortly after they made either that board or like a board or two after that. So it has some of that same, like some of those same elements that you will find in Focusrite is already in the Soundcraft board.
Already existed, yeah.
So that's just those elements right there. Oh yeah, my MPC Live. But that's pretty much it.
Cool, man.
I don't have a big grand studio. I'm like how the late great Sean Price would say, I was econo session. Studio on a budget.
Yeah, but you know what, me either. And I know John's the same as well. None of us have those massive, big, elaborate studios, but it takes me back to something I was listening to an interview, with Crust a little while back before Christmas. I can't remember what it was. It was a really cool interview, and one of the things he was saying on there, he said, like, regardless of what you're going to do, whether you're making videos, whether you're making beats, whether you're doing this, doing that, he said, just get on and do it. Regardless of the equipment you've got, we've got good enough equipment now that far supersedes things we were using many years ago.
Yeah.
And just get on and make whatever you're making. That what you're going to make is going to be, if your soul and your heart's in it, you're going to make something good. It doesn't have to be this massive, big, elaborate thing. Obviously, as you progress, cool, you get to do different things. But actually, the soul is where the music comes from. So,
Yeah, and I find like people that have like too many toys is like it takes them longer to turn around. Well, I don't mean calling toys, but too much equipment.
Yeah.
It takes longer for them to build something because it's like you want to use every piece in the studio to try to bring out something instead of just having something like me where it's just a couple of pieces. All right, we're going to try to make as much different variations of this sound from what we have right here, and let's make that happen.
Make it work. Yes, mate.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, then, mate, the first track I'd like to kind of chat to you about and play. So if you're watching the video and you're not listening to the podcast, the link's going to be in the comments underneath for you to catch the track that we're going to play. But the first track I want to talk to you about, mate, is By Surprise.
Okay.
All right. I love the tune. It's so cool. So just for everyone out there that hasn't heard this, if you can just give us a quick kind of mop up of it, mate, and let us know what you kind of where it came from, what was your influences in it, and what does it mean to you?
All right, By Surprise. The reason I named it By Surprise is because it came out of it came at a time that I think I actually caught beat block. I caught beat block and I started searching for different breaks and stuff so I could just either just work on a little something or just have it there and come back to it or something like that. Once I found the drums and started programming those things in, everything just came out of nowhere by like pretty much by accident. I was finding sounds by accident and just queuing them up and just placing them all together, and it was done within a matter of I probably say like 2.5 hours.
Wicked.
So that caught me by that's why I was like, that caught me by surprise. Oh, that's the name of the tune, By Surprise. There you go. Oh, you want to hear some drums? Yeah.
Right, and for me, like sometimes that's some of the most prolific tunes. It just happens. It happens, and before you know it, you've made something really special.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And hey, like I said, like sometimes it'd be the one moment that you're not looking forward to making a song, and then it just happens.
Yeah, it just comes together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wicked. So everyone, without further ado, this is Krugah, and this is By Surprise. What are you drinking there, mate? Tea or chocolate? Coffee?
Coffee. I'm having some nice coffee.
Wicked. You're a coffee man, right? Me too, mate. Me too.
I do tea as well, but it has to be, a certain kind of tea. When I get out there, the first thing I have to test is some PGT. Everybody been telling me about it. Hey, mate, you have to have some, like, bro, you have to have some PGT, and you'll be official.
You'll be officially British if you have some PGT. I love it.
PGT at an English breakfast with he told you was beans and eggs and what else?
Mate, yeah, full English breakfast, bacon, sausages, eggs, beans, fried bread.
Jeez.
Yeah. And they do something over here called what do we have? Hash browns with it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes even oh god, fried tomatoes.
Oh, well, they can leave out that. I'm good.
Yeah, me either. I can't.
I'm good.
Tomatoes with a breakfast, mate. But yeah, it's one of them.
I do ketchup, but I don't do tomatoes.
I don't know.
I'm funny like that.
No, it's not my thing. But there's a great place near to where you're going to be staying when you come over, mate. So we'll take you for a proper good English breakfast. All right, that's one thing that you do, 100%. So big dates and stuff coming up then, mate, for this part, and Jungle Syndicate. So that's one of the big reasons you come into the UK.
Yes.
We've been very lucky to grab you on part of that. So big up to the Jungle Syndicate guys. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Pixel. Yeah. Thank you, the whole Jungle Syndicate crew. Yes. Thank you.
So that is big things, mate. Big things. It's going to be a hell of an event down there in Bristol.
Yes. And I get to see a lot of the people which I've been fans of for like double-digit years.
Yeah.
Like it's the first time I'm actually meeting Flight, Fracture, Future T, these guys, Hyper on Experience, like this star-studded event right here. This is sort of like, this is like a festival without being a festival. It was all in a club one time, and it's sort of better this way also.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of an old school way of seeing everything.
Right.
Something back to the 90s, really, for me being into the scene from way back. And Bristol's just got a great vibe. You're going to love it up there, mate. It's a really, really great vibe. Lovely city. And a hell of an event to be going to doing your first thing in the UK with, mate. It's going to be awesome, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I'm happy that you guys. I'm happy that you guys got to be, so now people get like a little. People get a little preempt strike before what's going to happen, and probably in an extended view, because by looking at that lineup, I know I only probably have like an hour slot in the Jungle Syndicate thing. So it's like, okay, a little hour slot, but I know it's probably going to be a little bit longer with you guys. Like Codename our men's, I can at least breathe a little bit with the the little clinic of dubs that I'm gonna put on for the people now. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to hear, mate. It's going to be awesome. And it's nice to have you along to our little thing as well, mate. Which, again, it's that kind of the place where we've got the club and everything. It's that dark little, old school vibe. So it's a wicked.
I've seen the video clip. That place looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's very much a jungle vibe club, so it's great.
Yeah,
really cool. And that kind of brings me on to kind of different stuff there, mate. And you've already got the tea on, so it's great. But like going back to your last release, mate, was on Guns Road. And it's, big things happening out of Guns Road music at the moment. So big up to the Guns Road crew, big time.
Big up Frankie Guns, yes.
There's some great stuff coming out of that stable at the moment. And that kind of takes me to the other release, mate, which Kyrie was on. So those guys with nice collaborations, some great vibes to be coming out of that stable, mate. How did you hook up with those guys?
All right, now how I ended up linking up with Frankie Guns, that came about via my brother is all right. Let me try to put this in very short, right? Yeah. All right, so my brother Sequence is on jungletrain.net. Yeah. I appear on his show a couple of times. Then I finally get my own show on jungletrain.net. But shortly beforehand of that, Sequence played like one or two songs that I was building from back then on his show, and then not knowing that him and Greenleaf were actually tight and close, and Greenleaf also plays on jungletrain.net as well.
Yeah. So quite a few agreements.
So now once I get in, me and Greenleaf starts kicking it. I start sending him records to play on his show. Wicked. Then Rumbleton started pressing him inside the chat, like, yo, what is that? What is that? Who made that? Who made this? And after he tells me, like, yo, Rumbleton's asking about your records, he hooks me up with Rumbleton. Now, once I get to clicking up with Rumbleton passes me over to Frankie Guns. And the right period of time when he was at a crossroads, because it's like, played a record, I think, at just at close or something like that. And he was already in the mind of, all right, am I going to build a sound system or I'm going to do a record label? And that's when Rumbleton passed me over to Frankie, and he's like, nah, we're going to do a record label. That's it.
Yeah.
And once I gave him a whole slew of songs and everything, and he picked out like about a good 20 of them, that was it. That just started the ball rolling. And from there, I get to meet everybody therefore after.
Yeah, of course. So that was kind of a big intro for you, really, then, mate. That was a good door in. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, mate, fantastic. Brilliant. And nice to be part of that vibe, mate, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
They've got a great vibe going on over there at the moment.
That's like my extended family out there now.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me, mate. That's what I was kind of picking up from that way. So how cool is that, mate? Really nice.
Yeah. The guys over there in Canada is great. But also as the guys over there in UK is great, because therefore after I start linking up with people like Stretch.
Yeah.
Don't wanna give too much spoilers, but you will be seeing some Krugah on AKO beats pretty soon. Pretty soon. So large up Stretch.
It's big up yourself, Stretch. Some great stuff on that label, man, and just super heavy, And I've got releases from way back in the day, mate. I've got an extensive record collection, same as John and everything here. So lovely to see that whole thing coming back around, and the people that have really been there a long time getting the credit they deserve.
Yeah, definitely.
Stretch is a massive part of the history of the scene. So Yeah, big up yourself, Mr. Stretch. So, mate, we're kind of, we're touching on that, and in that sense, so influences within the kind of the jungle scene. We've talked about hip hop and that, mate, for you. Within the jungle scene, influences and the journey. Kind of what turned you to the jungle scene, mate, out there? What was kind of your first?
All right, my first, how I ran into jungle. I used to work at a record shop called Soul Chaco in my old neighborhood of Brownsville, Brooklyn, right? And it's like it's a monster pop store, but it was well known like amongst in Brooklyn, but really amongst the five boroughs because we had a lot of in stores where we used to have people coming in and sign autographs and stuff. So I used to do a good percentage of the ordering, and usually the distributors just send over like a couple of promos and stuff to let us check out and whatnot. And I think this distributor, either it was Landmark or Top Line, is one of them. They sent over a couple of albums. They said, "Yo, there's some new stuff in the UK. We don't know if we don't know if you can move it, but if you can, just let us know or whatever have you." The year is 94, and this is at the time where Wu-Tang is already bussing.
Yeah.
Biggie is just dropping. Craig Mack is already out with Flavor in the Air. It's like the whole evolution of hip hop is happening at this point in time.
Yeah.
These guys sent us they sent two 12-inch promos. One of them had something with Groove Rider and a remix of 16 on Jack on the flip side. It was like a sorted like 12-inch EP remix or whatever have you. But the one thing that caught me was Hard Leaders 7 Jungle Dub 3. That album is the album that changed. That album is the album that changed my life.
Yeah.
That's where the Dillinger Follow Me song is on. Yeah. I heard Dillinger Follow Me, Lemon D, Mad Melody, and Tech Nine, London Something. Those three records back to back on one side.
Yeah,
that blew my. The moment I got that album in my hand, I told the manager, I said, "This album leaves with me today." That is it. I'm studying this album because it came at a time that I already got the basics down on the MPC of how to make beats and this, that, the other, and the third. But I was looking for a new sound because per evolution of sound, everybody sort of sounds the same or similar to the same. So it's like I'm trying to look for a newer sound so I don't sound like everybody else. I don't care what genre it is because I was trying to master making different stuff in different genres. So it's like, what is this? Nobody's on this. And ironically, we're playing it in the store. Everybody outside walking by with a capital W face and not in a good way.
Yeah, right.
That didn't deter me. I didn't care. I was like, oh, take that shit off. I was like, yo, y'all don't know. This is the future right here. I don't know. Y'all bugging.
Yeah.
And I was telling them that.
Yeah, especially with you saying, like, obviously if that was 94 with the site, the scene as big as it was with hip hop, with Wu-Tang, with Craig Mack, with all of that kind of stuff back then, it was
everybody's paying attention to that and not to like other sounds per se. Like other sounds were in the mix, like somewhere, like house is still popping at the time. It was bridging into hip house at that time, which was very important because hip house to us is hardcore to y'all out there in the UK.
Yeah.
That's the major bridge going in the jungle at that point in time where we were experiencing, but with so much hardcore hip hop coming out, it's like it seemed that it sort of faded out on our side, and you guys took the baton and ran with it and started taking the extra kick off the floor off of it and just running with the straight hip hop breaks to make it grow into jungle.
Totally, mate. Totally. Yeah. That for us, that big change from 93 to 94, Fotex influence and reinforced influence to it. Dropping the 4 to the floor and making on a half beat with the difference was huge, huge. And, myself, my older brother used to DJ a lot of electro and hip hop from the 80s and that. So for me, and then my other brother was very much in the rave scene. So getting to, Stearns in 92, sneaking along was my first kind of understanding of the difference. And then 93, by the time 94 come, I was a regular at a club called Labyrinth.
Oh, okay.
So Labyrinth, definitely the birthplace of a lot of, great stuff in the jungle music scene. Kenny Ken there as the resident, DJ Chrome from Chrome and Time and all that, and some great times there, mate, and being part of that. and loving the same as you, mate. You know, just loving that different sound and something completely different and new that was ours, effectively. You know,
Right.
You know, it had come from something different. I think, like, you know, for yourself saying, you know, being from Queensbridge, the birth of hip hop in that way, you know, feeling that it's something that's unique and you've got something that's different and it's yours, you know, and love to hear that you found jungle in the same way, mate. It's amazing.
Yes, indeed. And I looked at it like another evolution of the regular sounds that I already loved in general. Like it's an evolution of just incorporating reggae, hip hop, soul, and all that into jungle.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I agree. Yeah, it's that beauty of that vibe, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that then takes us nicely, mate, into track two, which I'd just like to kind of bring along and chat to you about, mate, which was for me one of the latest releases, and that's Raggamuffin Junglist.
Yes. Large up Marcus Visionary and Lush, and to put it out there, the Raggamuffin Junglist will be reaching vinyl. It will be reaching vinyl. It's not going to only be digital, because there's another 2 songs that's going to appear on that vinyl as well, which is Pillar Assault and to the Future.
Yeah,
Pure Madness.
You know,
so
Pillar
all those going to reach.
Another bad tune, mate. They're both seriously heavy. Raggamuffin Junglist and Pillar Assault, bad tunes. And kind of just tell everyone a little bit, you know, if you haven't heard it, where did that come from, mate? What was the
Raggamuffin Junglist came from the sample the sample that people hear in the record where it goes Raggamuffin. That's actually Brigadier Jerry. I was listening to a old school live dancehall tape, if I'm not mistaken, that had to been a Kilimanjaro tape. Yeah, it's a Kilimanjaro tape I was listening to. Yeah. And I'm just hearing him, and he's doing his regular routine. And in the same sense of where he's doing the routine, he's just extending it, waiting for like Josie Wells to get to the mic. So he's just, you know, doing the chorus over and over and over. And I'm sitting back, I'm on like my 7th spliff, and I'm sitting there and I'm hearing him do this, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me take that. Hold on. Let me take that. Let me see what we could work with right here. And then at the same time, in the back of my head, subconsciously, I wanted to do a remix for one of the first records that got me known within the jungle scene in the first place, which is Funky Drummer's Revenge.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up working out in that fashion, and it just worked into this record.
Amazing. Yeah. And again, then, mate, a kind of a tribute to what we were saying earlier, how sometimes it comes from nowhere. And that's when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked, mate, wicked. Okay, so again, if you're watching the podcast, the tune's not here, but if you're listening to it, it's going to come on in a month. So for those of you watching, the link's in the comments as we're speaking now. And for everyone else, yeah, here it is. This is Raggamuffin Junglist. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent, brother. Excellent.
Yes. I hope I'm not over jumping certain topics or whatever have you.
Perfect, mate.
I'll try not to. It's sort of.
No. It couldn't flow better, mate. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Good.
Well, that takes me then into the sense of where do you want to take your projects going forward, mate? For you having some options and what you like your music to be doing, what direction, you know, what, because obviously I've listened to a lot of your stuff, mate, and it's not all just jungle. There's a lot of down tempo, cool dub, really digging the music, mate, but lovely different kind of vibey dub stuff out there. So what's your vision for yourself, mate, over the next few years, bit of time?
Honestly, one of my main goals is to not only just me, but I'm gonna try to like at least incorporate a lot of what is popular out here into the jungle. Like as in like hip hop, a little bit of trap, a little bit of grime here and there. Like there's a track that Due Diligence always plays on Dub Clinic called Shangle's Tune, which is a dub of mine where it has the little bit of the drill drums in the beginning of it. Like I'm trying to bring all those elements together to bring more awareness to it, especially over here stateside.
Okay.
Especially over here, because the one thing that pisses me off with how jungle is treated over here in stateside is this: for multiple double-digit years, jungle and drum and bass has been used in multiple adverts, multiple video games, multiple commercials, all sort of stuff, which it is never acknowledged like a main genre, like how you would get like every other thing over here. You understand?
Yeah.
Like
So like
you'll
your
find
R&B and your hip hop
like
and stuff, it's not acknowledged in that way.
like lo-fi and all these other things are like firmly acknowledged. Jungle, only a whisper. And you'd be surprised how many people love jungle out here. You'd be
Yeah.
highly surprised.
Okay.
There's people that get introduced to it and is like amazed by it, and it's like, where can I find more of this? And it's like when you get that question, it's like, where can I find more of this? And that tells you a lot.
Yeah. So it's kind of bringing your music to a bigger audience, mate. Right?
Right. It's like it's like you can find anything of trap, drill, anything else.
Yeah.
You can find jungle somewhat, but you really have to search.
Yeah.
Like for me back then when I got into jungle, it's at the time before Facebook, before YouTube.
Yeah,
Before
or
YouTube,
mobile,
so
mate.
I would, yeah,
Or
so
mobile phones, you know?
Yeah, I went through multiple years trying to find the sound and couldn't find it, and used to run into it like seldomly. Like the first thing I got was that Jungle Dub 3 album, and then there's multiple years after where I run into the Planet V double CD.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
That opened me up to everything Full Cycle and V Records, because it's like from right there, that's why I get to know more about Ray Keith, Ronnie Size, Die, and these guys. Like you get the knowledge, Crust, Lemon D, Dillinger, all of them on there. So it's like I get to really get more of that there, but in a different sense of how I got introduced to it from that Jungle Dub album. But it just shows me there's more out there.
Yeah. It's nice to hear that, mate, actually, and interesting to hear, and it's kind of, it's an exciting game to play then, mate, isn't it? When you're looking for things and you're finding new bits to listen to, and then suddenly something that you'd heard but you weren't sure of comes out in this, or what cracks me up is the different monikers, people go under. So you might hear something, damn, and then suddenly you find out it's Photech, or know.
Right, and then it's not like over here stateside the majors didn't try to to bring the sound of jungle across, because Def Jam had Def Jungle. We had before Raucous got Most Def, Talib, and High Tech. They were a jungle label.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that. Like the MCA had different things remixed in jungle, and they try to put it forth to the people, but it didn't really come across. So now when you get it, it's like it's imported from you guys out there, and we have to catch it like on an import 12-inch just by chance with that mix on it, opposed to what the American press is, where it doesn't have it on there.
Yeah, and it used to be the same for us with hip hop tracks. You'd always be looking for the American import because it would add a different version to the English version.
Right.
Yeah,
right. I used to run into that a lot. I used to run into that a lot in hip hop. Oh,
yeah,
like,
Big Daddy
especially
Kane,
with
Raw. That was a classic. That there was a certain. I think the American album had Raw live on it, whereas the English version had a different copy on. So I get that whole thing, mate. So you've got to keep your eyes out, looking for the imports, looking for the different versions. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So kind of just it's slightly coming away from that, mate, but on the same vibe. New music for you this year. I know you've given us a sneak peek of something very interesting that you're going to be doing. Anything else, mate, on that vibe? Stuff that you got planned, stuff that's coming soon, anything for us to look out for?
All right. Okay, a couple of things. All right, I already mentioned the Inner City Dance 12-inch for Raggamuffin Junglist. That's coming. Next from Guns Road 004 for me, there's another single, This Iration Inversion, and Up for Light. That's forthcoming. Oh. Also, like I said, the AKO thing, I only can tell you so much because Stretch is like this.
Mate, that's all we need to know, mate.
No. Let me rephrase that. Stretch is like Marvel. He's like Kevin Feige. You only can say so much, but you can't say too much.
Just
Just let
knowing
them
that,
know,
mate.
just let them know it's coming. That's it.
Yeah, that's all we need to know, mate. That's great. That fills us with something very good to look forward to, without a doubt. So kind of off the back of that then, mate, other big date, obviously we're lucky we got you here for Jungle Syndicate and playing for us at Codename. Anything else big planned this year, mate, for you back home or anywhere else?
Um, part two, the Arms House is definitely coming in Canada, like during the summertime.
Oh,
Apart from that, nothing just yet. I am scheming on something on the West Coast, but nothing's finalized yet.
yeah.
But there might be, I might be hitting like 3 areas in the West, like LA and Seattle, and touching back to Denver with the Recon crew.
Oh, wicked.
Large up to Mike and Maggie and to Dogstar.
Yeah.
That was awesome last year when I went over there. That was nice.
Yeah.
Large up Denver crew, yeah.
Yeah, nice, mate. Really cool. So kind of, yeah, just thank you, mate. Thank you for being our first guest on the podcast, mate. Absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get you over here in a few weeks' time, mate, and for us to catch up properly, get to spin tunes and do our thing. And on that note of spinning tunes, what equipment you used to using, mate, at the moment? Just for me, I'm having to be pulled out of the dark ages and using, the DJ M's and the controllers and everything else. But my preference, mate, is to still use Serato with vinyl and stuff on it. Yourself, mate, what would you say your preference?
Me, for my home setup, I have the Range 72 with the Range 12s. I still have my 1200s as well.
Yeah,
I'm just now getting into the whole feel of using the XDJ and the Nexus system and all that, because since that's the new industry standards.
Same here, mate. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm getting used to that. It's sort of, I understand it.
Yeah,
because sometimes you don't want to carry your laptop everywhere. Everything rocks out on the flash.
Yeah.
So that's that. I understand that aspect. So I get it now, So, but me, preface, I love my Serato, man. But either of those Serato have been acting up a slight, but I still love my Serato. I don't negate that. I come from the age of 1200. So
me too. I've got
yeah.
my 1200s that I've had since I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah,
that's big.
I've traveled to places, done some gigs. I've had them refurbished of late. And it's a dream, mate. It's a dream to still have them at that point. Same as, being brought up on that stuff is just good.
15 years. What? That's awesome. I only had mine for like a good you beat me by 5 years.
Oh, okay.
This year make about 10 years me having this.
Right. Oh, well, mate. No, I've actually.
Yo, you're way past me. I had mine for 10 years. You had yours way since you was 15. Like, oh my gosh, that's big.
Yeah, amazing, mate. They've done some journeys. When you're here, we'll have a spin and we'll have a laugh over some funny stories about them.
Those 12s, your 12's gonna be your 12's honestly gonna probably be worth whenever God forbid you stop DJing, those 12s are going to be worth money because, like, at that time, those models is way different from the models that they're putting out now.
Yeah, they're the original Mark IIs. So, yeah, very, very interesting.
The Mark 7s are awesome. I ain't going to lie. The Mark 7s are awesome, but nothing beats the old feel.
No, just different, mate, and they just different. Yeah. Well, like I say, mate, I just want to say a big up. Thanks so much, Mitch, for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you on, mate. Been great chatting and lovely to hear the influences and what you got planned, what's happening in the future, mate. I'd like to wrap up tonight with something off of the Guns Road EP, and that is Kyrie. It's a heavy tune, mate. Heavy, heavy tune. So just to take us out of here, mate, just tell everyone a little bit about it, mate, and kind of where it came from.
All right. For those who are not fully into the whole thing of basketball and all that stuff, the song Kyrie is based off of what Kyrie Irving, formerly of the Brooklyn Nets, because he done got traded, thank goodness, because that Nets front office is shite. But that's another conversation by itself.
Yeah.
The drama that he was going to give people a quick backdrop to it.
Yeah, yeah.
He shared a movie that's being streamed on Amazon Prime on his Instagram account.
That's right.
And all of a sudden there was a whole heap of dust up and anger about it. And mind you, he didn't put a comment on it. He just shared it because he was just sharing it. You know what I mean? It's your personal Instagram.
Yeah.
You should be able to share whatever you feel to share. Yeah. The moment he shared that, the same owner of the Nets threw him underneath the bus to these people, the ADL, which is the Anti-Defamation League, where they're supposed to be defending everything Jewish. I don't know how that whole thing of ADL puts a J in there, and like I don't know. Anyways, they went after him unrighteously, and he when he did his first interview to answer back about everything, that's where I took like all those parts from.
Yeah.
To show people that he wasn't being malicious, he wasn't being anti-Semitic, he wasn't doing that. He was actually putting people on like, yo, this is something you could watch and take from it what you could take from it and determine what was not right and what's right on it. Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah. And they created a whole Roman circus shit show on this man to the point that it just made him fed up. It made him fed up, and it made Kevin Durant fed up. It fed up then is 3/4 of the team. Because if you look at it from that point, a lot of the players left, got traded, after that. That just goes to show you it wasn't really him, it was really the Nets organization, because they was tormenting this man.
Yeah, and then had a domino effect from there, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you look at it like that, and then on the other side of looking at his situation, you know how many people who don't have that money or don't play sports run into things like that on a greater level that we don't hear about from our own jobs and this, that, and the third. Like you say something about this person, you're going to get into a whole heap of scrutiny and problems and this, that, and the third, but yet let them do that to you, and they just look past it like you're invisible.
Yeah.
So that's what made me do that record and pick out the Syl Johnson sample. Yeah. That was courtesy of my brother Greenleaf, because he wanted to flip that record, but he felt funny about flipping it because it's like, yo, I'm a white soul brother. Like this might not come across because the song is it becomes out black.
Yeah.
He shot that idea to me. It just so happened. This was happening to Kyrie. I said, both of them together. We're going to do this.
Oh, wow. I love that, mate. Interesting. Yeah.
Yep, so that's how Kyrie came about.
Mate, amazing. So for everyone out there, here it is. This is Kyrie. Brother, thank you very much, mate. Pleasure chatting with you.
Definitely big up to Codename, my men. Thank you for having me come on the podcast and having me come up to rock a good session for the people. Then, yo, all of myself out there, please make yourself there at Codename, and over at Cafe Parfait. Y'all in for a big treat. I'm still making dubs all now, so whatever they heard in Canada, you're not gonna hear that. You're gonna hear something different and more on top of that. You know what I mean? Like this is the new law I have with myself. Every gig that I do, y'all gig and Jungle Syndicate, y'all gonna get a special set of dubs. So what you hear over at Codename, you're not gonna hear that at Jungle Syndicate. You're gonna hear something different. Like I'm building for the gigs itself.
Wicked, mate. Wicked. I can't wait. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, as you can hear from the man himself, if you're not ready, get yourselves down. It's gonna be an awesome night. It's gonna be heavy duty.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, there it is, mate, from the man himself. Big up yourself, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Yes, you too. Definitely.
Happy days. So I can